If you look around at the people who have built, genuinely transformative fortunes today, the common narrative, it usually involves just relentless, grueling effort.
Right.
Working 80 hours a week from the age of 16 until they were in their mid-50s. Or maybe we just tell ourselves they won the genetic lottery.
Some kind of innate talent.
Yeah, exactly. Some talent that we just don't have. But what if that entire narrative is just a red herring? What if the hidden lever that creates massive modern fortunes, I'm talking the kind that create not just financial stability, but true sovereign freedom. What if it isn't about money itself, but a combination of highly specific skills and philosophical approaches that nobody ever bothered to teach you in school?
That is precisely the hidden truth we're digging into. We're not talking about, optimizing your 401k or learning to budget a little bit better.
No.
We are talking about fundamentally redefining the game that you are playing, moving from being a piece on the board to designing the game itself.
And that's the mission today. We are doing a deep dive into the philosophy of modern wealth creation, based heavily on the distilled wisdom of high-leverage thinkers and investors, particularly the framework laid out by Naval Ravikant. We're taking his foundational ideas for gaining independence, and we're going to show you how they translate into these actionable, unspoken rules, the rules that separate asset owners from people who just rent out their time for pay.
And to make it really tangible, we're going to look at sources that also give us these practical execution examples.
Yeah, we're breaking down how modern digital creators, people like Justin Welsh and Peter Levels, turn these abstract concepts into, multi-million-dollar realities using what's called permissionless leverage.
The goal really is to give you a detailed, practical roadmap, not just to financial security, but to maximum creative freedom.
Because those are two very different things.
They're two very different destinations, and confusing them is, I think, where most people get stalled out.
Okay, let's unpack this. And we have to start with the single most critical distinction. You have to actively seek wealth, not just money or, and this is maybe the most dangerous one, not status.
Yeah.
If you miss this first step, everything else just falls apart.
It might sound like semantics, but understanding the difference between these three pursuits, wealth, money, and status, it's the indispensable foundation for everything else we're going to talk about.
Right.
Most people spend their entire careers chasing money, or even worse, status, and they completely miss the objective, which is creating genuine, lasting wealth.
So let's break down those distinctions for the listener, because you're right, they are often used interchangeably, just in casual conversation.
Yeah.
How do we define money?
Okay, so first you have money. Money is simply a medium of exchange. Think of it like a temporary IOU. It's a way to transfer time and stored value.
Okay.
Ravikant's description here is just perfect. He says money represents social IOUs.
Social IOUs.
So I want to
What's that mean exactly?
Right. It means society is basically acknowledging, hey, you did something good in the past, you built a house, you fixed a car, you wrote some useful code, so here's what we owe you for that value in the future.
So it's a record of past work.
Exactly. It's a representation of past value rendered. It's not a generator of future value on its own. It is the liquid scorekeeper, nothing more.
So if money is just the score, it's not the engine, and it's certainly not the game itself.
Correct.
Okay, so where does status fit into this hierarchy? Because, status seems to be the thing driving most high achievers, especially in really competitive fields.
Oh, status is incredibly seductive. It's your place in the social hierarchy, and status is fundamentally defined by comparison.
By comparison, okay.
And this is the crucial part. If you look at status games, they are inherently zero-sum.
Zero-sum, meaning for one person to win, another has to lose.
Precisely. Think about it. If you're competing for a promotion, only one person can win that spot. If you're comparing two people, one person's gain in status means the other person experiences a relative loss. It's all about dividing up a finite resource.
Like the analogy of dividing up pieces of firewood in a cave.
Exactly like that. Status is won by elevating yourself relative to others, which means that somebody else has to lose, or at least be seen as less successful.
And this is where so many people, especially highly educated professionals, they just get trapped. They spend decades climbing that zero-sum corporate ladder, chasing the title, the corner office, the constant signaling on social media, and they're just exhausting themselves in a game that by its very definition has to create losers for every winner.
It is a never-ending treadmill of comparison, and
Yeah.
it is exhausting, and it is a cognitive trap. Because when you compare that to wealth, the nature of the game completely changes.
Oh, so.
Wealth is having assets that continue to earn and compound value while you sleep.
So we're talking about things like owning a piece of a profitable business.
Or intellectual property, scalable software, productive investments. And the sources stress that ethical wealth creation, unlike the zero-sum nature of status, is a fundamentally positive-sum game.
Okay, that distinction positive sum is critical.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us more about why building wealth is inherently a process of abundance creation, not division.
Well, the creation of wealth must, by definition, increase the overall pool of value. If I, for example, write a piece of software that automates a task for 1,000 businesses,
Right.
well, those businesses become more efficient, right? Their customers get better service, and I earn a massive return.
But you haven't taken value from anyone in that equation.
Exactly. I've created new value for everyone. If there were a truly finite amount of wealth in the universe, we'd still be sitting in caves figuring out how to divide up dead deer and pieces of firewood.
Right.
The overwhelming abundance and complexity we see in modern society proves that wealth is created through innovation. It's not just seized from someone else, it's a non-zero-sum game.
So the key isn't how much you have, but what you own that continues to produce value.
That's it. And the ultimate payoff of understanding this frame shift is the true purpose of wealth, which is freedom.
Freedom.
It's the ability to wake up when you want, sleep when you want, and most importantly, avoid being forced to be in a specific place at a specific time, doing anything you don't want to do.
It's about becoming your own sovereign individual.
Exactly. Enabling maximum creative expression without financial coercion.
So if freedom is the ultimate goal, we have to immediately address the primary trap that prevents, probably 99% of people from ever achieving it.
And that is
Trading time for money. It's so pervasive, so familiar, that we hardly even recognize it as a dependency. The sources have this famous provocative critique
Oh, I know the one you mean.
that a reliable monthly salary and a specific highly addictive substance are the two most dangerous, highly addictive things of the modern world.
Because they both offer immediate, reliable security.
Right, in exchange for long-term dependence and very limited upside.
And this isn't just a philosophical problem, It's a mathematical one.
How so?
The sources are extremely clear on the mathematical limitation here. When you rent out your time, trading 1 hour of your effort for 1 hour of pay, you cap your earning potential.
Because there are only so many hours in a day.
Human time is a finite resource. You might become a highly paid professional, a top consultant or lawyer earning hundreds per hour, but the relationship, it remains linear. Your income is directly proportional to the hours you put in.
And the moment you stop working.
The income immediately stops. You've effectively maxed out your capacity, and your time is just not scalable.
So you're living in a world where your inputs and your outputs are just tightly linearly connected. So to escape this trap and to move towards wealth, the fundamental rule has to be that you need to disconnect them.
Precisely. True wealth creation requires finding a profession or a product or a career path where the inputs, your time and your effort, and the outputs, the value created in the financial game, are highly disconnected. This separation is what allows value to be generated even when you're traveling, sleeping, or focused on other projects. You have to transition your earning model so that you earn with your mind and with your assets, not just solely with your time.
And this leads us directly to the essential, non-negotiable rule that separates owners from employees. The principles from the agents.
You must own equity.
You must own equity.
Absolutely. Everybody who genuinely makes serious, scalable money owns a piece of a business, a product, or some form of intellectual
You're
property.
going to own a piece of the upside.
The exponential potential, exactly. Let's look closely at that anecdote from our sources about Laura. She transitioned from high-paying consulting work to accepting equity.
Right, she only held a 5% stake in a venture.
Only 5%. But by the end of year one, the passive income generated by that equity matched her entire former high consulting salary.
And crucially, it kept growing.
It continued to grow and compound while she slept and worked on other things. She chose to own a piece of the potential upside, and she embraced the inherent risk and accountability that came with it.
This just highlights the core trade-off that often isn't discussed in, career counseling.
Yeah.
If you're an employee working for a salary, you are accepting security.
You get paid first.
You get paid first. In a financial crisis or bankruptcy, your salary is prioritized.
Why?
But in exchange for that security, you cap your upside.
Completely.
You will never capture the massive exponential gains of the company's success.
That is the principal-agent dynamic boiled down. The source material is explicit on this. Equity is a risk-based instrument. Employees get paid first, and they're paid reliably. Owners or principals, they get paid last, if the venture succeeds.
But potentially infinitely.
Potentially infinitely. If you want to achieve financial freedom and scale your income beyond the limits of your time, you must eventually transition from being a paid agent to being a risk-taking owner.
Even if you don't start a company yourself.
Right. You have to find ways to participate in equity, whether that's through public markets or through side projects where you own the output.
Yeah. So we know the goal is wealth, which is really freedom, and the vehicle is equity, which is owning assets. Now we get to the core framework of how you become that owner, that principal, who can demand or create equity. It's not just about starting a random business. It's about combining 4 key high-leverage traits. If you want to scale your value, you need specific knowledge,
The why you,
accountability,
the trustworthiness of you,
and leverage,
at scale.
all multiplied by sound judgment. Let's start with the foundation. Specific knowledge.
Specific knowledge it's maybe the most critical and also the most misunderstood concept in all of this. It's defined as knowledge that cannot be trained for easily or quickly.
Okay, what's the test for that?
The critical test is this. If society can train you how to do it, if there's a 3-month course, a certification, or a standardized university degree for it, then society can eventually replace you with someone cheaper.
Or an AI, or a robot.
Or increasingly replace you with an AI or a robot.
Yes, that makes perfect sense. If I go to a coding boot camp for 3 months and learn basic Python syntax, that's teachable knowledge.
It's commodified.
Right. But if I spend 10 years understanding how to implement Python in a hyper-specific, highly regulated niche like, energy trading logistics, that becomes specific knowledge.
Precisely. Specific knowledge, by its nature, is often found by pursuing your genuine curiosity, your innate talents, your personal obsessions.
So it can't be taught in a classroom.
It can't be taught in a lecture hall, but it absolutely can be learned. It's learned through deep, messy, on-the-job training, through years of pattern matching in highly complex, real-world environments.
And accumulating those subtle, soft skills.
Yes, often learned in childhood or through intensely personal experience. The key is that it's knowledge that feels like play to you, but it looks like work to other people.
And what's so fascinating here, and what the sources really stress, is how this process leads directly to authenticity as a form of anti-competition.
This is the ultimate escape mechanism. The ultimate defense against competition is through authenticity. Think about it. No one can compete with you on being you.
Right.
When you build something, a product, a career, or a platform, that is an authentic extension of who you are and what you genuinely love and obsess over. Competition effectively vanishes.
Because nobody can replicate your unique blend of skills and personality.
Exactly. The sources cite these powerful examples like Joe Rogan. His specific knowledge is a unique blend of curiosity, high-energy interviewing, and a willingness to explore uncomfortable topics.
Or Scott Adams with Dilbert.
Right. He had this specific knowledge combining cynicism, engineering, and drawing to create Dilbert. Or Bill Watterson, the creator of Calvin and Hobbes. Who's going to write a better Dilbert?
Nobody. Because that specific blend of perspective is unique to Adams.
And pre-internet, telling someone to just be yourself would have been, nearly useless philosophical advice.
Yeah, because your audience was just whoever was in your town.
Geographically limited, post-internet, authenticity can literally be turned into a scalable, high-leverage career. The internet is the great equalizer because it connects every human on the planet, allowing you to find a massive audience for even the most niche, unique interest.
As long as you're the best at it.
By being undeniably yourself.
And this is why the path to finding this specific knowledge, it shouldn't be overly deliberate or structured.
Right. Don't try to artificially engineer yourself to be in the top 25% of 3 arbitrary skills you don't really care about.
That just leads to being okay at a few things.
It leads to mediocre competency. Instead, you should ruthlessly follow your own obsession and curiosity. Keep exploring, keep building, keep redefining your objective until you converge on that specific intersection of your authentic skill sets, interests, and capabilities.
And you have that moment.
That moment where you suddenly realize, I am the most uniquely qualified person in the world to do this specific thing. That's the moment you stop competing.
So once you have that unique skill set, the next critical step is to anchor it with accountability.
Skin in the game.
Reputational skin in the game. It's not just about being successful. The sources define it as taking ownership, putting your name on the outcome, and being willing to fail publicly.
Yeah, taking business or professional risks under your own name.
And society rewards that.
Society, rationally, rewards those who take on accountability and solve problems that exist on the edge of knowledge. They're rewarded with responsibility, with equity, and with the ability to wield leverage.
But the penalty for failure is significant.
It is. It's reputational damage or financial loss. But the reward for success is immense and exponential.
This concept of accountability is practically synonymous with accepting that principal-agent dynamic we talked about earlier.
You're taking equity in all your work.
And with it, the full weight of responsibility.
Indeed. When employees or agents act like owners, they develop what's called a founder mentality. This is the hardest trait for actual founders to find in employees. People who care about the outcome as much as the owners do.
And for those employees, their compensation isn't just their salary.
Not at all. It's the knowledge, the deep pattern matching, the high leverage skills they gain by acting like an owner. All of that sets them up to become a founder later.
So you can start taking on accountability right now.
Immediately. Even within your current career. Just take full ownership of projects, regardless of what your title is.
So if we're talking about long-term accountability, we have to talk about integrity. Because accountability is fundamentally about building a reputation that allows you to play long-term, iterated games with high-quality partners.
That is the crucial filter for playing the long game. When you're picking partners, whether they're employees, investors, co-founders, you need to check for 3 indispensable traits: high intelligence, high energy, and high integrity.
And you cannot, under any circumstances, compromise on the third one.
Never.
And why is integrity the non-negotiable one? What's the most dangerous combination of those traits?
The most dangerous combination is smart and hardworking, but lacking integrity.
A highly effective crook.
That's what you end up with. A highly effective crook who will eventually, inevitably, cheat you or harm the venture when it benefits them personally. Integrity is the most important trait because it is what allows you to play iterated games.
Trust compounds.
Trust compounds over a long period, and once integrity is broken, it is extraordinarily difficult, if not impossible, to repair.
So how do you signal integrity? Especially since, as the sources point out, people who talk a lot about how trustworthy they are often aren't.
Yeah, that's often a red flag. Integrity is signaled not by what you say, but by what you consistently do, especially when you think nobody is watching.
It's about fulfilling commitments.
And making difficult ethical choices even when they are not financially optimal in the short term. The sources conclude that being ethical is actually a selfish imperative.
How so?
Because it attracts other high-integrity long-term players to your network, and those people will eventually pay you a premium just to be involved, effectively validating the deal.
Okay, so we've established the who, that specific knowledge, and the why accountability. Now let's talk about the how. How you apply your unique skills at scale. This is leverage. The force multiplier that creates these huge fortunes today, far exceeding what was possible even a generation ago.
And we are living in an age of nearly infinite leverage, primarily driven by technology. The goal of wealth creation is to find a way to make your single hour of effort affect 1 million people, not just one.
And Ravikant describes 3 primary forms of this.
Right. The first 2 are permission-based: labor and capital.
Let's detail those. So labor leverage means having people working for you. That scales your time, but it requires serious management skill.
And often institutional permission or the ability to build a whole organization. It's the oldest form of leverage, but it's often the hardest to scale effectively because of management overhead and the need for coordination.
And the second form
is capital leverage. This involves raising or investing significant amounts of money. This also requires permission. You have to convince investors to trust you.
Which they'll only do if you already have the other stuff.
People are only going to give you capital as a form of leverage if you already possess those preceding traits: specific knowledge, demonstrated judgment, and a good name based on accountability.
But here's where it gets really interesting, especially for our listener who might not have millions in capital or a team of 50 yet. There's a third form.
The great equalizer.
Exactly.
And that is code and media leverage, and it is permissionless. This refers to products with 0 marginal cost of replication.
So software, books, videos.
Online courses, newsletters, podcasts. Once you create the asset, Distributing it to the next million people costs you virtually nothing.
And you don't need anyone's permission to start.
You don't need anyone's permission to start a Substack newsletter or write some code. You don't need millions in startup capital. This is the great force multiplier because it allows you to amplify your efforts without involving other humans or needing money from centralized institutions.
And the sources are clear on this.
Yeah.
If you can't code,
You must write books, blogs, record videos, produce media. You have to create something that can be replicated at no cost.
the scale of the internet is the superpower that connects all of this.
Yeah.
It's not just a distribution tool, it changes the economics of everything.
Absolutely. The fundamental property of the internet is that it connects every human to every other human on the planet. And because the marginal cost of production for digital goods is zero, you can create systems where your users or your customers add value to each other.
Network effects.
That's the ultimate form of leverage. You can be asleep at night while your customers are interacting, producing data, generating content, and adding value to your system for you. The internet enables any niche interest as long as you apply your specific knowledge and accountability to scale globally and achieve massive returns.
That makes perfect sense. Leverage isn't about working harder. It's about choosing the right instruments that maximize the reach of your decisions. So if we put specific knowledge, accountability, leverage, and judgment all together, we arrive at that ultimate equation that summarizes this whole framework.
Yes. And this is how the variables combine in a non-linear way. The eventual outcome is a product of the distinctiveness of your specific knowledge.
Times how much leverage you can apply.
Times how often your judgment is correct.
Times how singularly accountable you are for the outcome.
Sometimes how much society values what you're doing.
And then you compound all of that over time.
That's the formula.
Wait, I want to drill down on that formula for a moment. It's all multiplicative, right? Why is that so important? Why isn't it additive?
Because if any one of those variables approaches zero, the whole eventual outcome approaches zero.
So you can't be a genius with no leverage.
Exactly. If you have the best specific knowledge and infinite leverage, but your judgment is consistently terrible, you will bankrupt yourself faster than anyone else. Because leverage amplifies bad decisions just as much as good ones. Similarly, if you have all the other pieces, but you have zero integrity or accountability, nobody will play the long game with you. Your reputation will eventually prevent you from accessing capital or partnerships. They must all be maximized in concert.
So we've established the philosophical and structural framework.
Yeah.
The next challenge is, of course, execution. And we often hear the hustle culture myth of the 80 or 120-hour work week.
Oh, yeah.
But the sources just completely dismantle this as being ineffective for knowledge work.
Nobody maintains 80 or 120 hours a week at a high cognitive output level with mental clarity for long periods of time.
It's not sustainable.
That kind of schedule often leads to burnout, it breaks the brain, and frequently it's nothing more than a form of status signaling. People wanting to look busy rather than being genuinely productive.
So what's the alternative?
The most effective work style for knowledge workers, and the one that actually produces breakthroughs, is what's called the marathon of sprints.
Let's define that. It's not about working continuously, but about working intensely.
Exactly. You sprint as hard as you can when inspiration strikes, and then you rest and reassess. You build a marathon, a successful long-term career out of these highly focused, intense sprints.
And this requires a specific emotional posture.
Yes. Impatience with action, meaning you start things now, but profound patience with results. Understanding that compounding takes years.
And this emphasis on immediate action is tied to the perishability of inspiration.
Inspiration is the fuel for specific knowledge, and it is a resource that decays quickly. When you feel that surge to write a blog post, build a feature, start the outreach, you have to act immediately.
Don't wait until tomorrow.
If you wait until tomorrow, the necessary mental energy and clarity will often just disappear. The sources say that if you wait, the moment and the idea will not get out there, and the leveraged opportunity will be lost.
And to create that space for inspiration and high output work, you need a free mind and an uncluttered calendar. You have to become ruthless about your time.
This is non-negotiable for anyone seeking high leverage. A busy calendar and a cluttered mind will absolutely destroy your ability to do great creative work.
You need empty space.
You need empty mental space for breakthroughs and for judgment. While early in your career, you may need to do coffee to build relationships. Later in your career, when you're exploiting opportunities and applying leverage, you must ruthlessly cut all non-essential meetings.
The idea is to be too busy to do coffee, but still keep a clean calendar.
Yes. And the only way genuinely busy, high-leverage people will meet with you is if you have proof of work.
An unfakeable resume.
An unfakeable resume, product progress, a specific knowledge edge. They will meet with the asset, not just the person.
This whole philosophy of sprinting and validating quickly is perfectly illustrated by modern entrepreneurs like Peter Levels.
Oh, absolutely. His 12 startups in 12 months challenge.
Which led to the creation of Nomad List, Remote OK, and a bunch of other successful micro businesses.
Level's strategy perfectly embodies this execution model we've been talking about. He was running out of capital, which injected urgency. He focused intensely on speed and simplicity to reduce uncertainty across a high volume of projects.
And Nomad List, which now generates millions in annual recurring revenue.
It famously started as nothing more than a simple spreadsheet.
A spreadsheet. That simplicity overcame the lack of initial resources and the need for permission. And his volume of projects was deliberate, right? He chose to launch 12 startups in a year to accelerate his learning curve.
And to quickly secure the initial traction and money he needed to survive. And the crucial validation step for him was not signups or traffic.
It was payment.
It was validation through payment. He launched things extremely quickly, ideally in less than a month, and checked if people would take out their credit cards and pay money, even for a scrappy product.
Because most ideas fail.
Most ideas fail, but the few that succeed are proven immediately by payment. This just emphasizes the importance of shipping minimum viable products, often using no-code tools like Webflow, Airtable, or Zapier if you have to, before spending months building some solid, complex version. The market provides the only real feedback.
He even formalized his thought process for finding which problems were worth solving into a framework he called PRE.
Yeah.
Let's break that down, because it guides how to apply that specific knowledge to a market need.
The PRE framework is an excellent filter for spotting opportunities. The P stands for painful.
Painful.
The problem must be painful enough to make the solution valuable. If the pain is minor, the customer will never pay. For Nomad List, the pain was severe uncertainty and hours of research for every potential digital nomad.
Right, where to live, what's the connectivity like, cost of living.
All of that. The U is for urgent.
Yep.
The problem must be urgent, making people act quicker. If the need is abstract and non-urgent, they'll just defer payment. For Levels, the urgency was driven by people already planning trips or moving soon.
Makes sense. What's R?
R is for recognized. The problem must be recognized by the target audience. They have to know they have this problem. Levels was part of the Nomad community, so he spoke their language and recognized their problem immediately.
And E.
E is for easy. It should be easy to solve by you.
By you specifically.
Yes, utilizing your specific knowledge and your unfair advantage. You should find the problem where your unique skills and leverage make you the optimal solver.
So if you launch the simplest version quickly, and it doesn't meet the PRE criteria, or people won't pay for it,
you simply move on to the next idea, of which you should have plenty. This reinforces the idea that true learning comes from iterations over hours.
Right.
The learning curve is driven by the sheer number of iterations, the count of new things done from scratch, the number of hypotheses tested, not thousands of hours repeating the same task like stocking shelves every day.
It's painful, though.
Doing something new is difficult and painful because the odds are high you will fail, but you must get comfortable with frequent, small failures to ensure you eventually achieve a massive success.
Another critical aspect of this playbook is avoiding organizational drag and the pitfalls of competition. The sources warn very clearly that playing stupid games wins stupid prizes.
Competition blinds you to greater games. When you are competing, you are often, by definition, just copying others. You're following a consensus path.
There's that powerful anecdote in the sources about a venture caught up in the comparison shopping wars.
Right, with competitors like Deal Time, My Simon, Price Grabber. They competed fiercely on price and features, only to realize years later that the entire space went to zero because Amazon won e-tail completely.
They focused all their energy on competing with their immediate peers on price comparison instead of looking at what the consumer really needed.
Which was reliability, trust, reviews. Their authentic value proposition.
So they won the booby prize by focusing on the wrong zero-sum game, which led to their ultimate elimination from the market.
And furthermore, competition naturally slows down organizations as they scale. Large established companies, think legacy airlines, large banks, or even giants like Google, they often become incredibly slow.
Why is that?
Layers of bureaucracy and managers who are incentivized not to lose existing revenue. They fear releasing a revolutionary product that might endanger their core cash cow revenue stream.
They become the old stuff themselves.
Exactly. Uber was a disruptor, but as it became large and bureaucratic, it started exhibiting the same friction points as the taxi companies it replaced.
So startups disrupt, but then they eventually get big and become the next disruptable target. To avoid that institutional cynicism and drag, you have to surround yourself with the right energy.
You must not partner with cynics and pessimists. Their beliefs are self-fulfilling prophecies, and they are incapable of building high-leverage, positive-sum structures.
Instead, you need to be a rational optimist.
A rational optimist. Rationality means seeing the world exactly as it truly is, knowing the pitfalls, understanding the downside risks, calculating probabilities.
But the optimism part is key.
But optimism means being profoundly confident in your own capability to get things done, to build something big, and to overcome the obstacles. For someone,
So, not from business books.
that is why the sources point out that top investors don't read investment books. They sound like philosophers. They're reading history, evolutionary biology, foundational science.
Because investment and entrepreneurship are these multivariate, real-world activities.
Exactly, and all the simplistic advantages are constantly being competed away. You need deep, foundational principles derived from various fields to guide complex decision-making in novel situations.
The sources offer a really profound mental model for improving that judgment, one that's derived from philosophy and strategy. Inversion.
Inversion is simple, but it's dramatically powerful. Instead of asking what highly leveraged action will make this venture successful, you invert the question.
You flip it.
You ask what action or path will definitely cause this venture to fail, and then you ruthlessly avoid those paths. This connects directly to the Kelly criterion, which is the mathematical formulation of a simple concept: avoid ruin.
So avoid ruin means two specific, actionable things for anyone playing the long game.
Exactly. First, stay out of jail. Never do anything illegal, because that path guarantees a catastrophic loss of time and reputation.
1 second.
Second, stay out of total catastrophic loss. This includes avoiding physically dangerous situations and, financially, never betting the entire kitty on a single outcome.
Right.
The Kelly criterion mathematically defines the optimal amount to bet to maximize your outcome while ensuring you maintain sufficient capital to continue playing the game after a loss. Your goal isn't to win the next hand, it's to remain in the game forever.
And this focus on avoiding ruin, it also translates into how you value your own time and mental energy, which is a key component of sound judgment.
Absolutely. No one in the marketplace will value you more than you value yourself. You must set a high personal hourly rate, say $100, $500, or even $1,000 an hour, depending on your skill level, and you have to factor that cost into every single decision you make.
So this turns decision-making into a calculation, right? Is driving across town to return a $10 item to Amazon worth $500 in high output mental time?
Probably not. The high personal hourly rate forces you to delegate, to outsource, or to simply ignore tasks that are below your value threshold. You need to save that high output mental energy for the big stuff, the leveraged decisions that actually move the needle.
If you spend your time on $20 an hour tasks,
You are programming your brain and your calendar to attract $20 an hour opportunities.
so to program your brain correctly for sound judgment and effective pattern matching, you have to build a strong foundational knowledge base.
The sources identify 5 core skills. If you are good at reading, writing, arithmetic, persuasion, which is just talking, and computer programming, you are set for life.
Why those 5?
Because these are the foundational skills that underpin all forms of modern leverage.
And the quality of what you consume matters tremendously in building that foundation. It's not about volume reading.
Yeah.
It's about depth. It's about filtering for quality. You should avoid surface level, consensus driven information like, business class articles or most business magazines that just recycle existing insights. Instead, you should focus
on reading foundational, original scientific books and classic texts in a given field, Read what you genuinely love until you love to read, expanding your knowledge consistently over time to build an exponential edge that is hidden from competitors who only read the summaries.
Let's circle back to that crucial idea of iterations versus hours. It's easy to feel productive by putting in thousands of hours just repeating the same thing.
But the real learning happens when you put in thousands of iterations. Doing new things from scratch, running new campaigns, starting new micro businesses. You must ruthlessly seek out ways to do new things, even if it is painful and involves frequent small failures.
It's a common pattern for high-stakes traders or VCs.
Yes, who rely on black swans. They intentionally engineer their system so they lose small amounts every day, accumulating failures and knowledge, but win massively when the unthinkable happens for everyone else.
So what about the day-to-day mental habits required to maintain the clarity needed for this kind of high-leverage judgment?
You need to actively create space for thinking. Meditation, deep reading, quiet reflection. These are tools for cultivating a calm, sharp mind. If you are constantly consuming, you will never synthesize.
You need empty space in your calendar.
Unbooked space so you can simply think. Also, live by your values, especially honesty. If you have to censor yourself or filter what you say to every audience, it splits your mind and takes you out of the present moment. It destroys your mental clarity and taxes your judgment.
If we look again at the difference between the founder, the principal, and the employee, the agent, what's the simplest, most leveraged way for an agent to move up?
They need to internalize a single question. What would the founder do?
Thinking and acting like the owner.
It is the knowledge and skill compensation that sets you up to be an owner later. If you are an employee, you should constantly be looking up the value chain to see who is getting the leverage off of your work, who is managing the capital, the products, the media, the community, and then positioning yourself to eventually control those levers and transition toward being the principal yourself.
So we've covered wealth creation, from the philosophy to the execution. But we have to end with the ultimate realization. What happens when you finally achieve that financial freedom you've been chasing?
You realize with profound clarity that it wasn't what you were seeking in the first place.
Really?
Money solves money problems. It removes financial constraints, debt, the need to trade your time, but it solves nothing else. If you are internally unhappy before you are rich, you will still be internally unhappy after you are rich.
Money doesn't buy happiness.
It doesn't buy you internal peace, true health, or close relationships. The first thing you realize is you are still the exact same person, just with fewer financial constraints.
So the ultimate purpose, then, transcends the balance sheet and points back to the things that money cannot coerce or purchase.
Yes. The three truly earned pillars of a well-lived life are what you must cultivate after the wealth game is secured. A fit body, a calm mind, a house full of love. These things cannot be bought. They must be earned.
You can buy a personal trainer.
But you still have to do the workout. You can pay for therapy, but you still have to cultivate the internal mental state through discipline and reflection. You must dedicate time and focused effort to cultivating your health, your mental clarity, and your close relationships.
Because those are what bring true peace.
And genuine, lasting happiness, not the monetary outcome of the effort.
That is the highest level of wisdom. Understanding what truly matters after the mechanics of the wealth game are mastered. This deep dive has shown us that to master wealth, you have to fundamentally stop renting your time and start building yourself. It's about combining your unique specific knowledge with unshakable accountability.
Leveraged by code and media.
And guided by sound, endured judgment. Ultimately, the direction you are heading in matters far more than how fast you appear to move.
And that leads us to the final unspoken rule. The one that governs all the others and dictates your success in both wealth and life. Wisdom is understanding the long-term compounding consequences of your current actions. Now that you understand the mechanics of building assets and leveraging value, you have to ask yourself the most important question for your life's roadmap. What is the longest game you are willing to play? And with whom are you playing it?
Since you've learned the unspoken rules for mastering wealth today, here is the final unwritten rule of this deep dive. You can't leave without leaving a mark. If these insights about escaping the salary trap, finding specific knowledge through obsession, or becoming a rational optimist gave you a genuine aha moment, then encode that value into the system. Like this deep dive to amplify the signal for others who are seeking this freedom roadmap. Comment below with a single rule you'll apply this week, whether it's setting a high hourly rate or avoiding competition through authenticity. Ring the bell so you don't miss the next deep dive, and subscribe to join the community that's focused on building, not just hustling, their financial freedom and their sovereignty.